check, 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 chop it down, check, 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 chop it down, chop it down, chop it down, you gon' chop it down, chop it down, chop it down, chop it down, you gon' chop it down. Damn, set, watch him throw the ball, we gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through fourth and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Dive.
Yes, sir. Welcome back to another Trap or Dive Washington Commanders morning show. I'm your host of the Trap or Dive podcast, Mual. Happy New Year's to everybody. Good morning. Let me put this phone down. I was over here sending a text, sending a tweet back to somebody that we're going to talk about on the show, by the way. Happy New Year's, everybody. I know everybody probably still asleep from a night of drinking, partying. But that ain't me. Not this year. I ain't do nothing. This was a year I stayed in the crib, watched the game. Boise State and Penn State. Very interesting game. Because I had my money on Boise State last night. And if you were watching the game, first off, you knew that Boise State was hanging on by a thread. I knew that. But I also felt the way things were going, they had a chance to keep that game within 10 points. Within 2 possessions, really. That's what I should say. So if you again watching that game, when they broke that last run for 50, I was like, yeah. So the spread was, by the way, if nobody knew, the spread was 12.5. Boise State was losing by, they were within 3 at one point. They were within 10. They got it deep into Penn State's territory a couple times. Kicker misses a field goal. If there was one person who was not ready to show up and perform against the Penn State Nittany Lions, it was their damn kicker. You had one of the easiest jobs of the night. You ain't had no problem with them PATs, but the minute they said it's all on you, get us some points, bro, out there shanking kicks. That would have gave Boise State an extra 6 points. And at that point, we're talking about a team who's covering. What, they lost by 17? Give me 6 points. They down 11. But honestly, I don't even know if they down 11 if he makes the field goals, because it could be a completely different ball game. See what I'm saying? Like they may not even be trailing. You talking about a game where Boise State actually probably has an opportunity to win. Yeah, it's been a bad year for the Kickers, man. Good morning. Happy New Year, Garage. I know it always runs when I get on this damn show. But yeah, man, it was a rough night for Boise State. Ashton Jeanty, 2 fumbles on the day. Penn State strap. Like the more annoying thing with Jeanty yesterday or last night was when they were down 17 and the coordinator, Dirk Cutter, had every intention on conceding the game so long as Ashton Jeanty breaks the record. Like, Dirk Cutter was so self-centered. It wasn't for Ashton Jeanty. Believe me. I don't think it was for Ashton Jeanty. I'm sure Ashton Jeanty would have been okay with it. But it wasn't for Ashton Jeanty. But Dirk Cutter was so self-centered, he wanted to have that on his resume. Because there's no way on God's green earth you were down three possessions and you're running the ball with under 2 minutes left. Teams don't just quit like that, especially with the playoffs on the line. NFL, college. Like, you don't concede. So, I don't know how many. I think he was like 50, 60 yards away from breaking the Barry Sanders record. Dirk really thought that he can get that on the last drive. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Like, you wanted that more than probably Ashton wanted that. Anyway, that's my soliloquy. I'm upset that they lost because I had money on them. So there's that. So good morning again. Once to everybody checking in, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button off the rip. Let's get that out the way. On the show, I'm a freelance a little bit. I'm gonna start with something that I just saw. In response to last night's podcast with AJ and Dre and myself. One commenter on the podcast, let me bring up the quote because I actually want to respond to him. Where is it at? Okay. One commenter on the podcast said, so last night, to be specific, we talked about the offense a lot. We talked about the run game. I want to circle back to the run game as well. But we talked about the run game. We talked about tight ends. We talked about Jayden, of course, and MVP stuff. The commenter said, "Why is Whitt getting a free pass for this crap defense?" That's his words verbatim. And my thing is, when I read that, I was a little annoyed. James, good morning. What up? Good morning to all the early birds, the morning trappers. You know, everybody ain't in the crib or passed out drunk or just sleeping in. You see what I'm saying? But Happy New Year to everybody, man. I got a little annoyed by that question because I feel like it lacks perspective. Right? And that's not the first time that I've seen that. I've seen that after the Falcons game, like the immediate takeaways from the Falcon game. Like, yo, I'm not impressed by Joe Whitt. I'm not impressed by his defense. All these things. Let me go to the last, let me pull them up. I'm going to go to 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2023. Okay, here we go. So 2020, the first year under Ron, where I genuinely did think that the Commanders had a solid defense, right? Hawk, what's up? Hey, Hawk, did you I meant to check in with you and Al too. Did y'all, you good, bro? Did you get that? You know what I'm talking about. Let me know if you did. I did think the first year under Ron, they had a legitimately good defense. I thought that they were lacking at the linebacker spot. Bet. I felt that they was lacking at the linebacker spot specifically, but I thought that they had a good defense. I legitimately did. And at that point, I don't have no issues. I think the biggest problem with that defense is how they transitioned into 2021. They let some key people leave that unit. And all things, first off, from a personnel standpoint and a coaching standpoint, but they let some people leave that unit and things went downhill. I did think 2020 had a good defense, right? They were second in yards, fourth in points. But 2021, they were 22nd in yards, 25th in points, right? One of the worst pass defenses in the NFL. 2022, third in yards, 7th in points. That one was deceiving. They didn't play good defenses that year. They didn't play good offenses that year. And when they did play good offenses that year, they gave up 37 against the Niners, 36 against Detroit, 20 plus against Dallas and Philly, right? Like, the majority of that season, they didn't play really good defenses. And the difference between what was that, 2022 and 2020 is like the offense had a time of possession thing where they controlled the clock. So you didn't expose your defense to being exploited, right? So statistically, they were a top 10 defense, but they weren't good. Then you get to 2023, where they were 32nd in yards, 32nd in points. Where am I going with this? Let's get back to the question, right? He says, why is Whitt getting a free pass for this crap defense? That question lacks perspective. And I think that's very frustrating to hear sometimes when you see somebody in a situation like Joe Whitt, where the turnover from a personnel standpoint is as big as it was with Washington, right? You're talking about a defense and an offense, generally speaking, who had over 30 new players put in on both sides of the football. You have first-round picks, second-round picks, not even capable of contributing to your defense, right? You got a cornerback group who is not good. That's why you traded for Marshawn. You got a rookie in Sanders, and you got a 6-year player, Noah Igbenogany, who's stepping up, and they're playing good ball. Outside of that, you can't trust nobody. That's 2 cornerbacks. They're 9th in yards, and that's a legitimate 9. They're 19th in points. I think the conversation about Joe Whitt right now is not fair because he's doing a great job with the talent that he has. And he's constantly having to make adjustments because just last week, like your edges, they're too small against Atlanta. So let me put my defensive tackles at the end. Let me put one of my big DNs at end. Like not one of those pass rushers or not one of those thin-framed edge guys. I want to have a big on both sides of the defensive line. We want to stop the run. And what did they do? They stopped the run to the point where they forced Atlanta to start second-guessing themselves and not run the football anymore. Completely took Bijan out of the game in the second half. The adjustments that he makes, right? That's not taken into consideration by some of these people who dislike Joe Whitt. You can be upset that the defense isn't great, but if you lack perspective, right, and objectivity and how you look at the defense, you are only hurting yourself. Joe Whitt wasn't going to come in here and make this unit a juggernaut. I don't think that was the right word. The steel curtain. He wasn't going to do that year one. Now, there was a legitimate, going into the season, there was a legitimate conversation where we thought that the defense was going to be the backbone of this team while the offense caught up. It ended up being the opposite because Jayden Daniels was that good. He is that good. But defensively, like, think about it this way. Another thing that needs more perspective. The first couple of weeks of the season, blown coverages everywhere. Joe Whitt fixed that. They are legitimately one of the best pass defenses in the NFL. From a coverage standpoint, skill-wise, you need better players, right? And when I say you need better players, I'm talking about when you face the better offenses. Atlanta will give you trouble. Philadelphia could give you trouble if they didn't lean on Saquon and Jalen Hurts' legs so much. The Rams in the playoffs, they will give you trouble. And let me rewind because I want to be clear. With Marshawn, things may be a little bit different, but I can't say for sure, right? Because he's only played 2 games. So let me rewind and say Baltimore gave you trouble. Because this is when the communication problems is what I'm discussing. Baltimore give you trouble. Cincinnati clearly gave you trouble. Tampa Bay, Chicago, if they didn't have Caleb Williams, right, the rookie, they gave you trouble. So from a structure standpoint, the defense has drastically improved. From a communication standpoint, this defense is drastically improved. But when you have offenses who are capable of beating you off talent alone because you are outmatched as a corner in a quarterback group, that's where you run into these problems. Again, all that to say, people who complain about Joe Whitt lacks perspective. And I think that's just probably one of the more annoying things when I hear about those complaints. We didn't talk about Joe Whitt on the show last night specifically because I didn't even watch the defense yet. I would have brought them up. I only got to the offense. And I got like 3 possessions left on the offense. So like it's been that type of week for me, right? But I didn't get to the defense yet. But even still, the complaint about Joe Whitt shouldn't be about Joe. It should be about the actual players that they have and where they need to improve in order to become a better defense. And the fact that Joe Whitt has become better. I mean, just think about the game against Philadelphia, bro. The Eagles fans would love to complain about you were able to shut down Saquon because Jalen Hurts wasn't in the game. Look what Philadelphia did against the Dallas Cowboys a week later. Jalen Hurts wasn't in the game. You lose Kenny Pickett in the game. And Saquon still goes for what, 150? A real 150 because he's toting throughout the entire game. Washington held him to 2.2 yards per carry after his first 7 carries of the game, where he went for 109, by the way. Adjustments. Joe Whitt has them. It's the personnel that's the lacking that lacks, bro. And I think people, again, to close, after I said everything I needed to say, lacks perspective. Joe Whitt made an important halftime adjustment moving. Oh, yeah, that's what I was talking about. I don't like that. Why are you doing that, Hulk? They don't need to bring back Chase Young. Chase Young does set a good edge. But move on. Move on. Yes, he does. He has limited quarterbacks to work with. You only have 2. Mind you, you only have 2 now, and you're only going to have 2 after the season. The only people that's contractually here is Sanders, Steele, and Lattimore. And before Lattimore got here, you only had 1. You only had Sanders Steele that's on the roster contractually. Everybody else is on their last year or a 1 year. I don't like that. He ain't selfish or a distraction. Like he ain't never done like nothing like that. He just ain't really been logged in. Funny enough, I work with one of his family members, like close family members. And we talk about Chase. But he ain't, I don't even know what selfish means in that sense. But that's neither here nor there. I just don't. Selfish and distraction seems like he's toxic, and he's not. He's not toxic. He's just a person who just didn't live up to the hype. Got to get better as a pass rusher, brother. Some point, man, is going to get us. We still talking about. No, in fact, I think are ignoring the fact that our corners are giving the other team free yardage due to penalties. Penalties, yes. Adding to the conversation. Yeah, penalties is a problem. They keep him on the field. Mike Davis, terrible day, right? And then we know Ben St. Juste is also dealing with a penalty problem, right? Ben St. Juice has 25 penalties. Let me show y'all something. Well, I'm not gonna show you because it's on my phone. But I saved this just in case the conversation did pop up, and I'm gonna save it until it pops up with AJ and Dre. Noah Igbenogany has 13 career penalties. He's had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's had 7 with the Commanders this year. And I think this is before. When did I take this? I took this Friday. So that means if I took this Friday, I took this before the Falcons game. I think Igbenogany had another penalty in the Falcons game. But let's just say before the Atlanta game. Let's just do that because I'm not about to do the math. Noah Igbenogany had 13 career penalties accepted on him, right? He's had 7 in his time with the Commanders. Now, granted, I think Igbenogany, let's actually take a look. I think Igbenogany, let's see. Where's Noah? Go to his. Where is he at? Oh, here you go. All right, here we go. He's 25. And he's played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seasons in the NFL. He's had 15 starts in 53 games. This is his first season where he's had a good percentage of starts, right? So he's had 10 starts. 10 of his 15 starts came with Washington. And what does this mean in terms of exposure and penalties, right? He's playing 75% of the snaps for Washington. Whereas in his previous stops, Miami for 3 years and Dallas last year, he played 28% of the snaps as a rookie, 17, and then 39. Those are his first 3 years, all with Miami. Last year for Dallas, he played 8%. Every single one of those years prior to Washington is where majority of his snaps came on special teams. This year in Washington, he's playing 75% of the snaps. That means he's exposed to a lot more football, right? Coverage, run game, run fits. And that exposes him to the penalty side, right? So this is his first year really racking up the penalties. He's had 7 with the Commanders. That's a lot, right? But it's also his first year having seen this many snaps, and he's doing a solid job in coverage. The issue, again, is the penalties. 75% of the snaps, he's had 7 penalties prior to the Atlanta game. That's a big deal. And if you had to do, matter of fact, let's do the math. Let's do 750 snaps, divide that by 7. He's getting a penalty every 107 plays. That's not a big deal. All right. It's not too bad. Every 107 plays, he's having a penalty. Let's go to Sam Steele, right? Sam Steele, prior to Atlanta, has had 2 penalties. Just 2. Both of them actually came in November. So that's how clean of a season he's having. The issue with Sam Steele is he gets beat in coverage, but he doesn't like it's a clean beat. Like it's simple. It's as simple as that. He's not like holding. He's not grabbing or like panicking. Panicking. I think I said that right. He gets beat in coverage. Like one of the bigger plays in the Atlanta game came against him, with Drake London beating him on the sideline. But I think the difference with Sam Steele and why it's so quiet on his front, 1, he's a rookie, but 2, it's easier to point out a person in a game when his name's getting called for the wrong reasons. And he's not getting called as a person who's getting flags drawn on him. Like, that's not him. And then you get the Ben St. Juice. let me pull up his numbers. I have the one in my phone, but I want to pull up his snap count, right? It's drastically dropped a little. Oh, yeah, it's drastically dropped a little bit over the last couple of weeks because he's not playing that much. But he's played 76% of the snaps for this defense. In the previous 3 years for Washington, his rookie year, he played 55%. 2022, he played 89%. Last year, he played 97%. That's 1,000 snaps that he played last year. 97%. All right. Ben St. Juste has, scroll down, 22 accepted penalties on him. He has 25 total. Trying to scroll down. 25 total. 22 were accepted. The other difference between Ben, and I know I'm rapping, but I want to make sure I drive home these points because this is all important context when we think about how bad the cornerback situation is. Noah Igbinoghene doesn't have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 5 back-breaking penalties such as defensive pass interference. Like, doesn't have all of those pass interference calls, right? That is what Ben has, right? Noah has 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh well, Ben has 5. I was looking at this whole career. Ben has a lot of pass interferences. He has face mask calls. He has hands to the face. These automatic first down calls, right? But 22 accepted penalties, 25 total. In just 4 years. 4 years, you got 22 penalties accepted on you. That ought to tell you everything you need to know. I'll leave it there. And all that to say, I agree with Garage. And I'm glad you brought up the penalty part because all of that is important when we talk about these cornerback situations. And we talk about Joe Whitt in particular, right? If you want to criticize Joe Whitt, understand that you lack the perspective because this thing needs to be much better from a personnel standpoint. May not be back. They're not coming back at all. High speed, what up, player? Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everybody checking in. Appreciate y'all checking in. Good morning to the morning trappers. Oh, all right. I mean, that's fair. If I thought we were talking about the selfish, sure. I give you that. I give you that. Side note, Ron Rivera interviewing for the Jets vacancy. That's funny. I did look at that. They signed Jamin Davis. They signed Big Phil, my superstar. Shout out to Big Phil, man. Wherever he lands, because I mean, they signed him. They signed him. You had to sign him to the active roster. I don't know what his future is in New York. He may end up staying there. He may not. But wherever he does land in terms of like a permanent home, his story ain't over. I don't know what's going on with Ron. I think one thing to consider, I forgot who said it, but it's a good point. You can't interview no real contenders for the job because everybody that they want to interview is playing football right now. Ron ain't got no job. Ron ain't got no damn job. So of course he can go for an interview. I don't think it's a token one. AJ likes to say that, he has all these favors and he's a will-like person around the league. He genuinely doesn't have a job. So all of the other interviews are going to come when people's seasons are over. DJ, what up, player? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. High speed. Joe Whitt has done a crazy good job. Defense needs to get more INTs, but they don't have the horses. I agree. Yeah, they don't have the horses, bro. Point blank, period. You don't have a consistent interior pass rush, right? You don't have anybody outside of Dante. at my dog this year. I saw the Dante who's genuinely pressuring the quarterback, and that's coming from the edge. Like, you don't have that interior presence as well, and that's unfortunate. I'm hoping that Cliff Kingsbury stays to improve on what he's done with Jayden in the offense. I genuinely think he's going to be here next year, and that's not like the homer or optimism speaking. I just think that for a person who went through what he went through with Arizona, and then you seeing a whole different atmosphere in Washington, meaning one, you know, in Arizona, you had to do things by yourself. You had to figure things out. You didn't have like that veteran coaching experience to like lean on in Arizona, right? You didn't have that. And in Washington, you have so many veteran coaches on your staff that you can rely on, you can collaborate with. And you're not the head decision maker. So that's why I say I genuinely think he's going to be back. It's not an optimism thing. It's not a homer thing. I think that Cliff understands and he can stay in Washington for a couple years until he wants to figure out what he wants to do moving forward. I think we're guaranteed Cliff for 2 years, this year and next year. This year meaning 2024 season, and then 2025 season. I think we're guaranteed 2 years with Cliff. I don't know about anything after that. I don't. I'm writing the wrong one. Ben has a reputation now. Shit, not just the refs. Teams gonna throw his way too. And now he got like that. What's that word? Scarlet, like that scarlet letter on his forehead, bro. Like, cause he don't get into the game that much. So now when he get in, they know 2-5 in. 2-5 in. So we're gonna throw the ball his way. Now here's the thing. As much grief as people give him, because it's a legitimate talking point about his penalties. But for as much grief as people give him, he does play when he's like confident. He has good, like, he does play good in coverage when the ball ain't thrown his way. Right. And when I say that, I literally mean like quarterbacks do not look his way because he's strapped. I mean, because the receiver's strapped. He's doing a good job in coverage. But when teams challenge him, that's where the problems come. That's all. And there are teams and quarterbacks out here who ain't afraid to do it. Got a scarlet P out on his helmet. Yeah. Okay. So here's one thing that I want to talk about too. And everybody that's in the chat, let's talk about it at the same time. What's this? I'll worry about that later. All right, so shout out to Big Doug. I'll talk about that last. Let's talk about this one first. Matter of fact, I'll say it so y'all can start thinking about it. Big Doug had 6 categories, right? Best player, unsung hero, most disappointing player, defensive player of the year, offensive player of the year, and favorite moment categories, right? So what I'm about to put in the chat so y'all can start thinking about it, those are Big Doug's answers. If you don't know Big Doug, just a guy on cool guy on Twitter. He hosts the Commanders. He does Commanders content as well. Does the Commanders podcast. Those are Big Doug's responses. I just copied and pasted the tweet, put it in the chat. Start thinking about it. We'll close out with those right there, right? But I want to get into another conversation first, and then we'll spin the block on that, right? Let me share my screen. This is from PFF. All right. So what's this do? Okay, here we go. Dang, I wish I started doing this more. All right, so Jayden has a Sean case to already be the best quarterback in the NFL. This is from George McGinnis of Pro Football Focus. I don't know who that is at all. But what I love about this conversation starter is it really puts your mind to the test about like how real Jayden Daniels is, right? What do you think, or what quantifies or qualifies a quarterback as being the best? Everybody has different perspective. Everybody considers different elements. Some people consider the same elements. But when I think about who's the best quarterbacks in the NFC, let's line them up right quick. This is not in order at all. Jalen Hurts, where my finger at? Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, Jared Goff, Sam Darnold, Jordan Love, Baker Mayfield, Matt Stafford, Brock Purdy, Jayden Daniels. There's 9 quarterbacks. There's 16 teams out there, each division. All right. So I think there's 9 quarterbacks that are good. Right? Who are the elite quarterbacks out of those 9? Elite. That's tough. Damn, elite. That's tough. I genuinely think all of the elite quarterbacks are in the AFC. Like, I'm doing this real time. I don't have it prepared anything. Who's elite in the NFC? At one point, like 2 years ago, I would have said Matt Stafford. I don't think Matt Stafford's elite. Okay. I'll just name my top 3, excluding Jayden, because I want to name my top 3. And then we will compare those 3 to where, and we'll stack Jayden up to those 3. All right. Jared Goff, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold. I'll say Jalen. I think Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen. No, it is for our team. Like this one, what you're doing, it is for our team. We just ain't get there. We just ain't get there yet. We're gonna talk about it after this conversation. So yeah, we're gonna get there. So Hawk says Jared Goff, Matt Stafford, Jalen Hurts. Okay. Did I say that? Did I say those 3? I said Jared Goff for sure. Oh, I said Baker and Jaylen. Yeah. All right. So what qualifies a quarterback to be like the best in their conference, right? I think Jaylen is different because one, he's an elite dual threat quarterback, right? But he's more reliant upon his legs than he is his arm. But he makes shit shake regardless. Jared Goff ain't got no legs. All he got is his arm, right? He runs a 7-second 40. So what does that mean? He ain't got no choice but to sling them up and peel. That's all he got. And he's surgical. Understands coverages, has a good release, and he can throw that MF 75 yards in the air. Just look at that last game against Chicago. That TD to Jameson Williams. Amazing. And then Baker Mayfield, small market team, not too much pressure on his shoulders. Got Mike Evans, Chris Godwin earlier. He's out for the season now. But you had Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. There was times where you ain't had Mike Evans this year or Chris Godwin. Still cooking. Baker down in Tampa. Surgical. I think he's behind the number 2 passing offense in the NFL. How does Jayden stack against those three? I think Jayden is he's easily up there. Like he easily can measure up to all three of those quarterbacks, right? I think he's more dangerous because he doesn't use his legs as often as he wants to. Yes, he has 16 carries against the Atlanta Falcons, right? But even some of those scrambles was like pulling teeth. He's very selective of when he runs, but he knows that if he uses his legs in certain situations, like if he has that level of control to stay in the pocket and make him throw versus I'm going to put some pressure on Atlanta and force them to cover me. Like, let me show y'all this. This pass to Zach Ertz works only because of Jayden. Where is it at? Is it this one? Please tell me it's this one. It's not this one. Oh, did I record it, bro? Don't tell me I didn't record it. Remove. Present. No, I didn't record it. Damn. So, all right. So the Zach Ertz scramble. The Zach Ertz run for like 30-something yards out of that second half, that first possession, right? That play only works because one, Atlanta is now keying in on Jayden Daniels, right? You have that hook player or that lurker, right? That's in the middle of the field, or that could be in the middle of the field. He has eyes on Jayden. Now he's a spy, right? And when you're a spy, you don't necessarily have a zone role. You don't have a man assignment. The only person that you're worried about is the quarterback from getting out of the pocket. When Jayden breaks down, starts rolling to his left and finds Zach Ertz is wide open. Like he was wide open for a good 3 seconds. But because that spy player is not in coverage, right? He doesn't have, his obligation isn't to Zach. It's only on Jayden. But again, that's not the only time that's happened this season. But when you are a threat to run your legs the way in which he has and the way in which he does, like that's what makes him the ultimate threat for Washington, is when he can really force defenses to cater to him. And now you have two-way options. You make things much more difficult on the defense that you're up against. But Jayden, again, to the conversation, he competes, he stacks up well against those three. And any other quarterback that you want to put out there, he has a strong case to be the best quarterback in the NFC. And I think with people who think about CJ Stroud, any other quarterback, right? I don't think CJ Stroud measures up to what Jayden did in terms of his rookie season. I think the only person that you really have to consider, bro, and let's be real honest about this, is Pat Mahomes. Now, Pat had Tyreek Hill. Let me look. And again, Pat wasn't a rookie, right? Because he pretty much sat the whole first year. He just got in that last year. But Pat had, let's go to Pat's rookie season so we can kind of break down exactly just how good he was. All right. Pat had Sammy Watkins, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. Two pass catchers that's going into the Hall of Fame. All right. That's all you need. You just need two pass catchers that's going to the Hall of Fame. All right. Terry ain't going to the Hall of Fame. Good player. Terry ain't going to the Hall of Fame. Sammy Watkins, good third option. You ended up winning the Super Bowl with him. Chris Conley, I don't know if y'all remember him. Solid depth piece. But then you got Kareem Hunt, Demarcus Robinson. Demarcus Robinson, really good receiver, depth guy, not like a number 2, number 1. But he was also he was probably in his first or second year then, so he's pretty young. But he stayed there for a couple years. And then you had Kareem Hunt before the incident. So he getting 1,000 yards from scrimmage every single year before he gets out. But the only person you compare against is Pat Mahomes. Again, Pat, and the reason why I had to name his pass catchers, that boy threw for 50 touchdowns and threw for 5,000 yards. You ain't getting that out of Jayden. Not here with the weapons he got. You ain't getting 5,000, bro. You ain't gonna get that. But I'm talking about in terms of efficiency and the danger that he provides, or that he creates for defenses, right? You gotta be able to cover him. You gotta find a way to confuse him. And defenses this year, they haven't necessarily purely confused Jayden. He's had moments, right? I think that game against Philadelphia, the first game, it was a difficult game for Jayden. But also, when you think about how he bounced back, you know that, Jayden is the type of person you can rely on. I said this on the podcast too, but Jayden is the type of person that you can rely on where he can bounce back after a bad game. It's not going to happen twice. I knew that. I wasn't even concerned with the second game against Philly. But in terms of efficiency as a rookie, the only person that you can compare against, it ain't CJ, is Pat. And that's my thing. He's 69% completion, 3,500 yards, 25 touchdowns, 9 picks. But he also has 864 yards on the ground. If he didn't get hurt against Carolina, he's probably close to 1,000 yards right now going into the Dallas game on the ground. And he may be the first rookie to rush to throw for 4,000 yards and have 1,000 yards on the ground. That's how good of a season he would that he'd have had if he didn't miss the game against Carolina. He played one drive. That's where I am, man. I think that his season is his first season as a starter, since we're comparing him to Pat, who was in his second season. His first season as a starter is only as good as Pat's. It ain't nobody that's close in terms of recent history. CJ doesn't come close. And people can look at the statistics and say, oh, well, matter of fact, let's look and talk about it. But people can look at statistics, bro, and they can sit here and try to convince you that CJ was no different than Jayden. 63% completion, 4,100 yards, 23 touchdowns, 5 picks. Again, CJ missed a game. He missed 2 games. He only played in 15. I think they benched their starters in that last game. But again, 23 touchdowns, 5 picks. But at the same time, his efficiency on a down-to-down basis wasn't even close to Jayden's. And that's through advanced stats, like their analytics. That helped me there. It's not like I looked at film from CJ in 2023 to compare. I'm talking about advanced numbers that can help create that argument. If I was to bring that out, I'd have to look for him. I've seen them in passing. I never really saved them. But I'm gonna use the advanced analytics part for this argument in CJ and Jayden. But it doesn't come close. Point blank period. So I don't know how y'all feel. Let's see. Tyreek Hill. Yep, you already know. Hey, he would. He would. Or he could. You know, could have Hall of Fame potential. D. Watt was in Houston. He basically carried the team. D. Watt. First off, garage. Come on now. D. Watt had, I think, Andre Johnson for a little bit, and he for sure had DeAndre Hopkins. But let's take a look at D. Watt just to make sure. Let's take a look because D. Watt for sure, like his rookie season, towards ACL. What was that? 2017. All right. Yeah, I think he still had. Let's see. No, so he lost. All right, so he didn't have Andre Johnson. I was wrong. He just had DeAndre Hopkins. D Hop went for 1,300 yards. He had Lamar. Oh my Lord. Yeah, they didn't have nobody. I liked Will Fuller too. Where is Will Fuller at? I don't think he in the league no more. I think he kept getting hurt, right? Will Fuller, bro. I think they drafted Will Fuller after we drafted Josh Doctson, bro. Yeah, he ain't played since 2021. I think he was dealing with them injuries. Damn. Y'all think he 21st overall. 21st. Oh, he got drafted right before us. We picked Josh Doctson at 22. But we traded back. That's what it was. Yeah, I remember this. We traded back. Damn. Yeah, D-Watt did do his thing, bro. Let's see what he did year 2. I think he still had Will. He still had Will Fuller. But who else did they have? D-Watt went for 1,500 with D-Hop went for 1,500 with D-Watt that second year. And he was 26. Speaking of receivers. This is the last thing. And let's get to our year recap with that Big Doug question. Let me bring that up. No, I want to bring something else up. Hold on. Stop sharing for a second. Let's go to this one. Where's it at? Where is it at? Well, it's not up there no more. Okay. So let's go to the question. Will y'all be interested? Should Washington be interested in Davante Adams? Should Washington be interested in Davante Adams? And before you answer, even though I know somebody has already put in the chat something, I don't know if they did or not, but I'm sure they're about to. The buck doesn't stop at Davante. If you're going to get him, you can get him to a 1-year deal. It's going to be 33 next year. 32, 33. Do you go get Davante Adams to bolster up this receiving core? There's a report that the Jets intend to move on from Aaron Rodgers and Davante this offseason. And we know first of all, we know that Aaron Rodgers ain't going nowhere. Like who gonna sign him? But I know Davante is probably gonna look for a championship caliber team that need him. Because he's a volume target guy, but he's deservedly a volume target guy. do you go get Devontae and add him to this receiving group? I think you consider it. Here's why I think you consider it. And here's why I think you make an offer. It's going to be cheaper than T. Higgins. You may have to trade for T. If any of those, because I floated Garrett Wilson out a couple weeks ago. If any of those rumors about Garrett Wilson is true, you do make an effort on Garrett. Make that effort. But they're not going to move on from Garrett. I don't think they're going to do it. You do make that effort on Garrett. But you don't get too aggressive because, again, he's going to be too expensive. Devontae, he ain't looking to stay too long. 32, 33 years old. Probably like a mercenary deal. 1 year, maybe 2 years. Second year being an option. 10 milli per. None too big. All right. Let's do just enough to get you in here. Let's win this bowl. All right. He opens up the offense first and foremost. His teams can't just hone in. He legitimately opens up the offense. All right, that's what I mean. He's a yak god. Makes plays after the catch. Knows how to get in from the end zone. Get in the end zone from 40 out, 50 out. He may not have that long speed anymore, but he gonna make shit shake. And also, I'm not looking at the chat right now. Make my points. I'm looking at the chat. If you're concerned about his age, but you are pleasantly surprised at what Zach Ertz is doing, let's take that conversation about Zach Ertz and understanding that he is 34 years old. And let's put perspective onto Devontae. A guy like Devontae can play until he like 39, 40. Because he's a technical receiver. He's cerebral, right? Sure, you need athleticism, but he wins with athleticism and being able to outthink you. So if you want to open up this offense, Washington should consider Devontae Adams. And again, the buck doesn't stop at Devontae. You can go get some more wide receivers. You can get 2 or 3 more. But if you want an elite presence opposite of Terry, it's going to help Jayden open up this offense. Devontae is definitely a guy. Now let's see what y'all got to say. Oh my God. No on Devontae, no to Adams. Garrett Wilson is if available. All right, I'll talk about that. No to Adams, not because of ability, but don't think why do we do that? Why do we do the culture thing, bro? Is it because we saw him on that show? What's that show? Receivers, bro. And we got a perception of him. Damn, like we can handle somebody if they complaining about not getting targets. Like that's just the nature of the receiver position, bro. All right, let's continue. There's Devontae. Who on this team blocks? You got Luke McCaffrey that blocks. OZ tries. Terry can't block. Deami tries. Let me rephrase all of that. All of these receivers try. Devontae tries. I had to watch a couple of his. I for those who don't know me, like who ain't been around for a couple of years, I do scouting reports for NFL teams. I had a couple of his players. I had a couple of Packer players previously that I had to scout before. Devontae blocks. But it ain't like none of our receivers are really good at blocking. Specifically, our most important receiver, Terry, he's not good at blocking. He's some shit. Like, the days that he actually does bring it in the run game ought to be applauded. And there's days that he does bring it in the run game. So I'm not going to take that away from him. But the days he do it, yeah, you ought to applaud it. Devontae block, bro. Bringing Devontae Adams ASAP. Yeah, wishful thinking. My whole point was whatever is the minimum that's reasonable. Excuse me, whatever is the minimum that he'll sign for is where I'm saying, like, that's what you need to bring in. I mean, that's what you need to sign him for. So 10 years was me like shooting a blank. I shouldn't put that on camera. It's like shooting a blank. And just saying that needs to be what Washington has to sign him for. Whatever the minimum is that he'll go for, that's reasonable for a couple years. Get him in here. Yeah, I mean, look, they put Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen's still cooking, bro. Like, anyway, that was just a question. We can revisit that in the offseason. I think it's something that people really need to think about, though. Trust me, that ain't gonna be the end of this conversation. I guarantee you, people are gonna bring it up. All right, let's close out with some fun moments from the season. Again, this is from Big Doug. I'm gonna put them on the screen. All right, how do I enlarge? Can I zoom this in? All right, yeah, this works. Okay. Oh, by the way, y'all can follow me on Twitter at Let Mual Tell It. You can follow the Tribe or Die podcast right there at Tribe or Dive. In case we ain't following each other on social media. All right, so again, best player, unsung hero, most disappointed, defensive player of the year, offensive player of the year. Yeah, Noah Brown. I'm sorry. Garage, I was looking for the other person. Noah Brown blocks. He for sure blocks. He's a willing blocker, and he actually gets dirty. That's the one person I want to give credit to. For sure. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So, yeah, shout out to Noah Brown. And favorite moment. So, best player by far and offensive player of the year by far is the same person. Jayden Daniels. If you wanted to be a little bit different in terms of offensive player of the year and best player, I would say offensive player of the year would be Terry McLaurin. You can do that, and you can do best player Jayden Daniels. And I think that's where I'll go, just to be different. I'll say my best player is Jayden for the obvious reasons which we state. He is the franchise changing player. He is the game changer. He is the person that you go in on Sundays and you know that you have a shot at winning because he is on the field. And you are never out of a game because he is on the field. You know that if you're trailing, the game is not over. So many different ways to say the same thing. Jayden has lived up to every expectation that I had of him. The more surprising thing with Jayden is that it came in year one. If you're around with me in the offseason, if you followed my channel in the offseason, or since the offseason, I don't know how long everybody's been following. I did a 3-part series breaking down his college tape. And I will get very petty when the season is officially over within the fan base, because there are a lot of people who are clearly excited and exuberant about Jayden Daniels now, right? Which they should be. But a lot of them pushed back on the very idea of having Jayden because they thought that he wasn't it. They thought that his pressure to sack ratio would keep him from being a playable quarterback in the NFL. They thought that he couldn't throw in the middle of the field. They thought that he was a runner first. They didn't believe in his arm. They thought he had a weak arm. All of my film sessions, I did, again, a 3-part series. You can go back and look at it if you want to. It's in the college playlist. Disproves every single one of those notions. And I think for Washington, having him hit in year 1 was the best case scenario for this team. The only thing is they cannot go into these upcoming seasons like how the Indianapolis Colts did Andrew Luck, or like how Carolina Panthers did Cam Newton. Get this man some help. Get him, upgrade the offensive line. Like, make those bold decisions. If you know you can improve somewhere, upgrade it. Get this man some receivers. It's not going to be a 1-year overhaul thing, right? You're not going to find all these in one offseason. But get this man some receivers. Austin Eckler only going to be here for 1 more year. You need to find you a number 1 running back. Make B-Rob your change of pace guy. Get you a do-it-all back. I mean, honestly, B-Rob only got 1 or 2 more years left. He ain't going to be here that much longer. I don't think they not re-signing B-Rob. But you better make do with what you got. And find a number 1. Get that man some help. And help don't just start on the offensive side. We know we need some help on defense too. But offensively, if you want to maximize how good this offense can be, get that man some help. Don't bullshit and rely on Jayden just because you got Jayden. Shit, the Houston Texans. I mean, they tried, but they ain't built up that offensive line. They got the receiver. They gave him Stephon. That defense, all right. Got better. They got my guy Daniil Hunter. I wanted Daniil, bro. They got Daniil. But yeah, best player Jayden Daniels, no question. Offensive player of the year, Terry McLaurin. I think we got to see what Terry can do with a quarterback who can see the field the right way, who can process post-snap and pre-snap. He can find a way to get Terry a catchable ball, right? And Terry has delivered. While it was a slow start, while he got strapped up against the Atlanta Falcons, can't take that away from him. He's having a hell of a season. Hell of a season. And honestly, bro, I think this might be an all-pro season for Terry. Like, that's how good Jayden Daniels and Terry has been. Unsung hero. He says Tyler Biadasz. I think that's fair. Also think unsung being an offensive lineman is a little disingenuous. Not like intentionally. But offensive linemen don't get spoke about. So like he fit that there. I think offensive linemen I say I'm overthinking it. I think Tyler is definitely an unsung hero, but I also think if I had to give, I think Tyler is it. I think like a 1B would be Zach Ertz. Actually, you know what? Yeah, I'll go with Zach Ertz. He's opened up this offense in several ways, having that versatility at tight end. And all you need to know with the importance of Zach Ertz is what would this offense look like if you had John Bates and Ben Sinnott and what's that dude with that Colson Yankoff as your 3 tight ends? Imagine if it was just those 3. That's all you gotta say. Zach Ertz is my 1A. Tyler Biadasz is my 1B for unsung heroes. Let's go through some of the chats. I'll pause there for a second. Unsung hero Dante Fowler. That's a good one. It's a real good one. Most disappointing is Dorrance. I don't know. I don't really disagree with it. I mean, I don't really agree with that. And here's why I say this. Here's why I don't agree. It's not for what y'all think. Like, you say disappointing. I honestly looked at his tape. Let me see if I got my scouting report. I say all that to say, like, going into this season, I didn't even see a person that, honestly speaking, bluntly speaking, I didn't see a person that even warranted the contract that he got. I know why he's in. I know why he's in Washington. He followed Dan Quinn over. I don't think he's a terrible player. I don't think he's that good. So when I say when you High Speed and Big Doug say most disappointing is Dorrance, I don't think Dorrance has played poorly. I just don't think he's the impact guy. Where is scouting reports? Here we go. 2024. I was like, where am I looking? Do I have my full scouting report? I don't. It's not the full one. All right, so my biggest thing with him, though, it's not my full scouting report, so I'm not going to share it. But my biggest thing with him when I was writing my notes is he is not the pass rusher. If you look at his sacks last year in Dallas, there will be a consistent thing with his sacks. They were kind of unevaded to the quarterback or cleanups. I think he probably won out of his 6. He probably won 1 in like a true one-on-one. But his use of hands wasn't that good. Struggled to corner around the edge, right? And he struggled to keep his chest clean against offensive linemen who can really, try to hem his ass up, get inside those shoulder pads, right? So I think that was one thing that was kind of problematic. Solid against the run. I cannot take that away from him. I think he's solid against the run. And that's probably the one thing that I think even Dan Quinn spoke about, I think like a day or two ago. So that's important. I'll say all that to say, High Speed. I'm not disappointed by Dorrance. I can understand why y'all are. But I wasn't when I saw his tape in Dallas, and then like his season to this point, he's made some plays here and there, but it ain't something where I look at it and say he's a guy where I had high expectations for. Defensive player of the year. Oh, let me keep going through. My bad. Hey, this is the second time you just said this, Hulk. Why you keep doing it? Frankie Louisville, defensive player of the year. I like that one. Bobby, I think, is an important piece for sure. But I think Louisville is the defensive player of the year, bro. This is Louisville is Washington's Micah Parsons. He's all over the field. Just last week he sparked the comeback against the Philadelphia Eagles, picking that ball off. But I think Frankie Louisville is the person where like he makes things difficult for offenses to game plan for. He can rush the passer. He has pass rushing moves. He can corner. He can bend. Right? Like he can really threaten you on the edge He can threaten your guards. He's too quick for your guards. He has pass rush. He has pass rush moves for your tackles. And then he strikes, bro. Like, he's fearless. Like, if you think about the defense, generally speaking, him, Jeremy Chin, Quan Martin, like, Bobby is a tackler. Like, you ain't getting away from him, but he don't strike. Frankie strikes. Mike Sanders still strikes. Quan Martin strikes. Jeremy Chin strikes. You got some heavy hitters on this defense, bro. And the impact that Frankie Louvis brought to this team, defensive player of the year for me as well. I'm with you, high speed. We'll get to that. T might be available. I know we talked about it earlier. But if they franchise him again or if they hold him, like, you either got to match the contract. They could franchise him again. You could franchise the player twice. But they'll have to match the contract and trade for him. In the offseason, if he does become a free agent, you're going to have to compete with like 12 other teams. And you're going to have to give up a draft pick for T, for the comp. Having a QB hit in year one is ideal. Adam Peters not going to let Jayden go out like that, be robbed up. I don't think nobody had Fowler getting 10.5. Most thought, oh, nah, see, yeah. I'm just catching up on the comments, so I didn't expect Dorrance Armstrong to get nowhere near 10. I didn't even think he was going to get 5. How much does Dorrance have? Dorrance has 5. Dorrance has 5, bro. And he just got that 5 against the when did he get that 5? I think he got it against Atlanta, right? Let me double check. Yeah, he had one against Atlanta. And he had another one against New Orleans. The man has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games with nothing. Not a half sack, not a sack. But yeah, no, I didn't. All right. Oh yeah, I'm glad you brought this up. I wasn't all the way serious when I was saying he was getting strapped up. It happened, but I saw on tape. I saw a Terry that wasn't really running routes at 100%. Something was bothering him, and something was going on in his head. So I'm glad you brought that up. Hey, what's up, Playboy? Good morning, everybody that's checking in. Appreciate y'all checking in live. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We are closing out with this question from Big Doug. Who are your best player? Who is your best player of the season? Unsung hero, most disappointing, defensive player of the year, offensive player of the year, favorite moment. Where do you think on the offensive line we upgraded? Everywhere except for right guard and center. I think you can upgrade. And do I mean replacing Brandon Coleman? Or putting him at another position? Like, he can still start. Brandon Coleman can. And if you want to keep him at left tackle, you can absolutely do that if you're Washington. But this isn't an offense. Like, when we talk about the run game, right? On the podcast, we spoke about this last night. And I think people are so hyper-focused on Brian Robinson. People are so hyper-focused on the running backs themselves. This offensive line does not generate much of a push of lately, right? This is not how they create. They sail off. Sometimes they win on double teams. A good amount of times, I'm not going to discount them. A good amount of times they do win on double teams, right? And one-on-ones, they are not just like dominating people and moving them off the ball. That's not a problem. But when you combine that with the fact that they actually are not executing their assignments, like wrong blocks. Sometimes you got people such as Brandon Coleman that's slow off the ball. He's late off the ball. Late off the snap. People are tripping at the point of attack, like they're falling on their ass as they're getting ready to block somebody. You got running backs getting met at the line of scrimmage by 2 people, 3 people. Pre-snap IDing hurts them. So when people look at the run game, that's one aspect of it, right? You got to find a way to maximize who you think can really, like, you can upgrade from Andrew Wiley, right? Andrew Wiley is an athletic offensive lineman. He's shown that this year more than any other year he's been here. And I think for Washington, Andrew Wiley has played solid this year. Same thing with Brandon Coleman, athletic guy. We know that. And you can utilize those 2 tackles in space and on the second level more than you can anybody else. You just gotta and same thing with Biotis, bro. Biotis is another athletic guy, and I like him. But you just gotta find a way to really take a look at your left guard position, your right tackle position, and your left tackle position, and say, does Brandon Coleman fit here? And if he does, how can we help him? Should we move his position? Nick Allegretti is a solid guy, but do we think we can get better at left guard, or do we think we can manage it for another year? And at right tackle, Andrew Wiley has consistently gotten injured. Brandon Coleman has too. That's another thing to think about. As a rookie, you're an offensive lineman, so you're gonna get dinged up, I guess. But Andrew Wiley he's closer to the. I think he's actually over 30. Let's take a look. Andrew Wiley is looking for Andrew Wiley. Damn, I can't see him. All right. Let's see. Andrew Wiley. He's 30. Yeah. He's not too old. So I wouldn't think too much about that. But do you want to put him at guard? Do you want to keep him at tackle? And if not, do you want to? Actually, honestly, I think he's proven that he don't need to be a guard in his offense. He can be a tackle. But the question now becomes, do you think you can upgrade from him? Do you want road graders, or do you want like well-balanced offensive linemen who can do one thing okay and do something else really well? That's kind of the dichotomy or the difference that you got to kind of consider when you talk about offensive line. But I think there's 3 positions to finalize my point that you can upgrade. That's left tackle, that's left guard, and that's right tackle. Most disappointing is Deron Payne. What up, Caleb? Good morning again to everybody that's just checking in. Good morning to the Morning Trappers, man. Deron Payne restructured his contract, and now I'm not mad at anybody who says Deron Payne is the most disappointing. And I'm actually surprised that Caleb is the first person that brought it up. Hawk, stop doing it. Stop talking about Zeke. Stop doing it. To be honest, don't think there's really a disappointing player, but if I had to pick, it's Armstrong. Yeah. Oh, yeah, y'all talked about Zeri. I agree. Terry had an ankle. Brandon Coleman, tackle guard to me. We got Trent Scott, Michael Deed, and Chris Paul playing for meaningful minutes right now. Yeah, bro. Them injuries is really, they fucking them up. I know it's not Cliff Run DNA, but I would love to see C-Skins do some stretch runs under center, open up Jayden on boot actions. They got a block. Let's see them get them reach blocks. See them people sustain a block. Yeah, he can play for the Houston Texans, bro. That's where he can go. If he want to stay in Texas, he can play for Houston. All right, where was he at? We did most disappointing. Y'all did most disappointing. I didn't do most disappointing. Who was most disappointing for me? Emmanuel Forbes. Most disappointing. You got to consider those players who aren't on the roster anymore either. And I think Emmanuel's most disappointing because it's not that I had expectations, right? I didn't have super high expectations for him. But not even this coaching staff could turn things around for Emmanuel Forbes. That is my disappointment. That's how inept or hopeless Emmanuel Forbes has been. And it's sad. I had a smirk on my face, but it really is sad, bro. Most disappointing for me is Emmanuel Forbes. He's now with the Los Angeles Rams. But that is my guy who is most disappointing. If I had to get somebody on this roster, I did like the Deron Payne one. I can also Ben St. Juice. I mean, the cornerback position, bro. He's in a prove-it year, to be honest with you. Just like Emmanuel Forbes was for different reasons. But Ben St. Juice is in a prove-it year. He's on the last year of his contract. And he's essentially benched for Mike Davis. You know how disappointing the coaching staff got to be in a player if they don't even have they don't have their tolerance level for you is that low where like they would allow Mike Davis to be on the field getting cooked up and put you in the game, bro. So it stays at the cornerback position for me. Most disappointing is Emmanuel Forbes and Ben St. Juice. You got to show up in those years. You got to have it. That was a big deal. Defensive player of the year. We went through that. I said Frankie Louvu for me. Offensive player of the year. Went through that. Said Terry. Favorite moment. All right. What are y'all favorite moments? Let's hear them. And we can close out with that. I did see somebody's in here. Let me scroll back up, make sure I didn't miss it. Because I don't think I missed it, but let's see. Oh, here it is. Favorite moment was Jayden Daniels putting the league on notice versus the Bengals on Monday night versus Joe Shiesty. That's a really good one. That's a really good one, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. I came into that game on the game preview. I remember that. It was only like 2 or 3 games. It's crazy because I had Washington. The ceiling was a 10-win season. The floor was an 8-win season. In every single game this year, in this entire season during our game predictions, I probably predicted 3 losses. I probably predicted 3 losses, bro. So that ought to. Oh shoot, I didn't mean to do that. So for me, bro, that was one of the games where I thought Washington was going to lose. Early in the season, it is what it is. We didn't know how bad the Bengals defense was going to be. That man, Jayden, put on a show, bro. And I also never forget because I live bet that drive where Terry had the at the end of the game. And I think it was like 5-1 or maybe 7-1. And I bet that Jayden was going to end the drive on a touchdown pass. when I seen him throw that ball, I was like, oh my God. If you know where that came from, you know. But nah, for real, when I seen that ball go up in the air, bro, and I saw them pressing, I was like, yo, they trying to end this game with a touchdown, bro. They not fucking around. And for it to come through, and this was a game where, you know, Luke Uramuno, the Bengals defensive coordinator, he was blitzing the shit out of Jayden, bro. And that drive, he was blitzing his ass again. And they was like, yeah, keep sending these cover zeros. We got something for your ass. And high speed, when he threw that ball up to Terry, I was like, all right, bro. This fool is unfazed. I was about to say something else. This fool is unfazed. This is definitely a top 3 moment for me. I think this is honestly, the season got better after this. This was a great feeling. The Cincinnati game. Honestly, the very next game against the Arizona Cardinals. Cause it's not just I mean, the Cardinals is the Cardinals, but you came back from a game like that. You got to think about in the moment. You came back from a game like that, right? And you know, it was an exciting win. It was a thrilling win on primetime television. And then you beat the shit out of the Cardinals the next week. That doesn't happen in Washington. That's when you knew things were a little different. And the way they handled the Cardinals that week was incredible. And I'm not saying that's not my favorite moment, but from contextually speaking, back-to-back road games where you win a thrilling, exciting game in primetime, and then you come back and beat the shit out of an NFC team, where I think you was a 2-point dog, if I remember correctly. That's a really, really, really good moment, because it doesn't happen in Washington, and that ought to, like in hindsight, that ought to set the trigger for every fan that say like this team's different. So that 2-week sequence was really good. And then the Philadelphia game, bro, just 2 weeks ago. Like again, the season just got better after that. The Chicago Bears game, you can't forget the Hail Mary. That was an amazing feeling. Like, amazing. I've never experienced something like that. I don't think any of us had, but still, like, that was an amazing feeling. But the underlying part of that is like, bro, we couldn't get into the end zone for shit. Our red zone problems was killing us. Our defense strapped up for 3.5 quarters, and we almost lost the game. We were literally losing with 6 seconds left to go. Still a great feeling because you come out on top of dubs a dub. But that's why I overlooked it, is my point. I think my favorite moment is it comes down between Cincinnati and the Philadelphia game. I don't give a damn if Jalen Hurts is playing or not. You're trailing 14 points. You threw a pick. You're trailing 14 points on multiple occasions. You threw a pick with 3 minutes left to go. And you still win the game. So I'm going to just say it's tied. Cincinnati and Philadelphia. That's it for me. JD5 created the most iconic have created the most iconic moments of the season in the entire NFL. He's had MVP moments. That's a fact. You know what I'm about to do, bro? Nah, I ain't gonna do it. That's just tripping. I was about to put down a little bet on Jayden Daniels winning the MVP. So he got a shot. It's a long shot, and that's why you put money on it. Because if he wins, see what I'm saying? Hail Mary after the rib injury, hit scary Terry for the Cowboys. That is a really good moment. It's a good point. Scary Terry for the Cowboys, because it's like, yo, they did that shit again. We back from the dead, baby. And then Cuz missed that damn field goal. I don't remember none of our kickers' names. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm on the stat sheet right now, so I can scroll down. Austin Seibert played the most games for us this year. 9 games. Then Zane Gonzalez, I think he's playing for. I think he's our kicker right now, right? Or is it Kane? Or is it Cade York? I don't know who kicking for us. We in the abyss for a reason. Back corner, throw to McGuire against the Bengals. The Hail Murray was like that, but when we were resting our starters in the fourth quarter against Cleveland, was my first. This my first. This is something different moment. It's a good point. During the second Philly game, I was on a cruise. Damn, I was on a cruise. Oh, I'm tripping. I stopped halfway. Washington fans that was on the ship with me almost lost our minds once we saw the game win a touchdown. So it was the first time in a long time I was proud to be a Washington fan again. I mean, Lulu put hers out the game so the Eagles fan can just cope with the loss. That's a fact. Zane Gonzalez is our kicker. Okay. Yep. Thanks for the help. Really. Because I'm like, at this point, bro, anybody out there is liable to miss a kick. That's how bad it's been. I ain't even gonna be mad if they draft a kicker late round. I'm dead ass serious. I would not be mad. Because there's some good kickers out there that I ain't seen over the weeks in college football. If you draft a kicker, bro, do it. Go for it. Draft one. Just don't draft them high in like the 4th round, 3rd round, because only Sebastian Janikowski worked out. Everybody else, it don't work. JD5 and Dan Quinn put in 2012 season rush. It ain't even no competition for me. It's done. This season, I mean, look, you had to win 7 games in a row to make the playoffs and win the division and win 10 games. We're going into week 18 with 11 wins. RG won 9 games. Jayden won 11. It's over. Dan Quinn won, like that was Mike Shanahan's 3rd year. Dan Quinn won 11 his first year. It's over. Al 2, did you get that? By the way, I meant to check in with you too. Let me know if you did. I sent it to your email. It's a good question. I don't know the status of Seibert, but I would imagine they bring him back if he's healthy. That was their guy. What, he's made 30. I mean, he's had 30 field goal attempts, made 27 of them, made a 55-yarder. If our defense shows up and we get rid of penalties, we'd be scary. Seibert is my favorite kicker. He did, though. He sure did. I would say no field goal kicks over 50. Just keep going for it. We could rest dudes. But what I do like is Dan Quinn said we're going for that 6 seed. So go for it. I'm all in for it. Yeah. All right. So go ahead and check right quick, man, and let me know. So I can know that everything's straight. 'Cause I send it to that email. Stop versus starters in week 18. Hey, I was for an Odell signing, but don't nobody like him, bro. For whatever reason. They some haters. All right. Let's see. Yeah, I don't think Lattimore gonna play this week. I think they gonna win without Lattimore. Lattimore is the one person that they've been winning without the entire season. So I don't think playing him is going to do anything for Washington in week 18. I think they're going to save him. I think they're going to save Austin Eckler for the playoffs. I think I think if Biadasz can play, but he should rest, I don't think they're going to play him against Dallas. Right tackle is going to be a little tricky because Cornelius Lucas got hurt and Andrew Wiley's dealing with an injury too. So I have no idea what that situation is going to look like. I don't know. All right, that's going to wrap it up for us on this Commanders Morning Show. Appreciate everybody who listened live. Appreciate everybody who checked in and was in the chat, man. Happy New Year's to everybody. Like our two said, Happy New Year's to the Morning Trappers. We're going to be back on Friday. We might do a film session then. I'm gonna see if I do, I'm gonna check in with Mark Bullock. I'm not sure if everybody knows who he is, but I'm gonna check in with Mark Bullock, see if he wants to do like a joint film session, just talk some ball on Friday, and we'll see what happens when we get there. Out too, if everything checks, just hit it. Just comment in the stream or leave a response on the actual video once it's done. Yes, we did. And Will, if that doesn't add to my argument from the podcast last night or from earlier today in this morning show about how important this offensive line is to the running game, and it's not just to blame the running backs, at least you know how important Biadasz is to this offensive line. All right, y'all stay safe. Enjoy the games today. Happy New Year once again. We out of here. Peace.
Chop it down. Chop it down. Chop it down. You gon' chop it down. Chop it down. You gon' chop it down. Damn, set. Watch him throw the ball. We gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through 4th and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Die.